Water is the most precious, essential, and important resource that makes life possible. Water is useful for us in multiple ways in our daily life. The function of water are to deliver oxygen throughout the body, boost skin health and beauty. Besides, water also play a vital role in sustaining healthy community and economies. Water also provide connections across the landscape for people, plants, and animals. Even though water has so many advantages, it can cause us building defects. So, let's get back to the video. Do you know what pooling is? No, this is not the pool at the hotel where you can swim in it. So, the first building defect that caused by the water is pooling at the balcony. This is the defect that causes by the water that happen when there is no proper drainage system at the balcony. Without proper drainage, water can overflow and causes various of problems. And each drainage must be kept clear of debris so there are no clogs and water can drain into the gutter. If there is moisture pools between the membrane and the tiles, the membrane can break down, that leading to a lack of waterproofing to protect the building materials. So, let's continue with the second defect that causes by the water, which is when there is a leakage at the window. The leak could be anywhere around the window, which is top, side, or bottom. Often, these leaks happen because of the caulk or sealant around the window has gotten old and cracked, which is it allows the rain to enter the house. The fix for this solution is simple, which is you have to peel out the old caulking and replace it with the new window caulking. But if the problem was ignored, the water could cause molding at the walls around the window.
Next, we move on to the efflorescences. A lot of people get confused about what efflorescence is. They are salt deposits and salt crystals that can form on brick surfaces, concrete, stone walls, chimneys, or anything that menagerie. Efflorescence is caused by a number of factors, where water plays an important role in the mortar. How does efflorescence occur? When it rains, a brick absorbs water into its pores and moistures from the wet mortar. Minerals and small gypsum particles dissolve in the water and are transported through the brick pores when the brick dries. At this stage, after the brick dries or evaporated, the salt stays behind, and that's what we call as a salt deposits or efflorescences. Next, we have rotting timber, which require high moisture content level and attract wet root spores and fungus when they are exposed to dampness. This moisture source could occur as a result of any number of issues, including defective plumbing, leaking gutters, leaking roofs, broken pipes, or many reasons. Timber that is exposed to excessive moistures provide the environments for wet root growth, as it allows fungus spores to grow, as they use the timber as a food source and eventually lead to major structural damage to the building.
Next, the defect caused by water is rust staining. What is rust staining? Rust staining is caused by dissolved minerals or salt that remain after electrochemical corrosion reactions have occurred. As you can see in this picture, show the potted plant stains. If a potted plants have been in the same position for a while, the water under the pot will grow and build a circular stain around the rim of the pool. Iron leaks and oxidize in contact with moisture and air from the dam and grow the soil fertilizer. There are also possibly rust stains and ugly marks beneath potted plants. As for the prevention, use a protective pad or platform between any plant spot and your concrete surface to prevent further stains. The other defect caused by water is electrical short circuit. What is electrical short circuit? A short circuit is an abnormal in any electrical where the electrical current flows through an intended shorter pathway instead following the circuit. Short circuit can be caused by the water or other fluids coming into contact with electrical wiring. For example, flood has caused a major damage on electrical wiring, plus cause injury or shock through electrical shock, electrocutions, or fire. As for the prevention with major damage, qualified electricians need to survey the area before you can even consider to the area. If moisture has entered a wire, they may be able just to cut out the affected area and maybe require a completely new set of wiring.
I will be talking about the defect of rising dam. What is rising dam? Rising dam is a relatively rare form of dam that affects the walls of buildings. It occurs when moisture from the ground travels up through the walls by capillary action. This means that groundwater is effectively sucked up through tiny tubes in the bricks, like a series of straws. This water contains salts that also travel up through the wall. The signs of rising dam are tight marks of salts, dark patches on walls that can be damp to touch, staining of walls covering peeling wallpaper and blistering paint, damp and musty smell, discoloration and fragmenting plaster, and last, decaying timber, for example, skirting boards, floorboards, and floor joists. As you guys can see next to me, there are some examples of picture that shows the defect of rising dam. These two are photo of rising dams on internal wall, while this one shows the damage to paint and plaster due to rising dam. Next is the defects of flaking paint. According to this picture, the detachment of paint film from the surface is called flaking. It occurs when the bond between surface and paint film is poor. Flaking paint simply means it is the detachment of paint film from the underlying surface in the form of flakes or scales. The most common causes of flaking paint are moisture underneath the coat and also paint applied over oil, dirt, grease, or onto a purely prepared powdery surface. Then, it can be due to application of paint on insufficiently dry surfaces. It can also be due to shrinkage or expansion of a surface causing the paint film to move. To prevent this, it is very important to check the surface before painting. Surface should be clean and free from dust and grease by rubbing with abrasive paper before applying paint. Next is to ensure that there are no gaps in covering putty with primer coat. And as you guys can see, this is all the examples of flaking paint.